Keeping up with Joe Budden.
No, man, there we go. So jump off Joe Budden. He's been in the media crazy these last couple of weeks. Lost his podcast co-host Rory and Mal.
Fired him.
Yeah, fired him. Well, he lost him at first, then he fired him. So, but due to contract disputes, then he had an interesting situation where Joe Budden has created the Joe Budden Network, and he has a couple of shows on the network. And his first show that he ever, produced and signed was a all-girls podcast. It's called See the Thing Is, and it has singer Bridget Kelly. If you guys listen to the Horrible Decisions podcast, Mandy from Horrible Decisions.
That's a good title for a show.
Yeah.
That's like on par with See What Happened Was.
It's all about it's Horrible Decisions, but it's whore spelled. And it's all about like their sexual escapades. I
could be on that show.
I mean, you could. But they talk about pegging and shit. It's wild.
I could be on that show.
You're not getting me off the show.
Anyways, about my pegging.
Yes, she pegged me.
Complete fucking 180.
But another co-host on that show was she was a blogger and a personality. Her name was Olivia Dope. And she was on the show, but she abruptly left the show after like a couple episodes, and people wanted to know why. So a couple weeks ago, she came out and told the reason, which was basically she felt uncomfortable by Joe Budden on an episode of the See the Thing Is podcast when he was a special guest on the podcast, and she outlined like pretty much how the show was edited, and a lot of the inappropriate things he did to her were edited out. And she had timestamps, she had everything. And
did she give examples of what inappropriate stuff he did?
Well, yeah, but also the shit that they left in, because they also have they have the video on YouTube. The shit that they left in already looked bad, and then the shit that they edited out, when she had the timestamps for it was fucking crazy.
I can't imagine what he did, because for it to be inappropriate, but like nothing's really happening to him,
right?
Where is that?
No, he was wilding. Okay. From like during one portion of the episode, he just he's talking about how Mandy has a relationship with Joe, like they talk outside of here. Bridget, they have a relationship, they talk outside of here, and he goes to Olivia Dope and he's like, "We don't have much of a relationship out here. Like, you didn't know me before this." And she's like, "No." And he's like, "It's weird because I've been wanting to fuck you for a while." And he says this on he says this on camera and on the podcast. And I was like, but of course,
you don't say that, people. You don't say that. Like, I've known Dwayne for a long time, and I still haven't said it to him.
But he knows.
But he knows. It's implied.
He's been touching my leg all 130 episodes.
I don't have a dog. It's just...
I'm just like, just holding in my cry.
I'm so close.
Every time. A little more. Come on. A couple more strokes. But it was wild because that part's obviously edited out. But when you look at the edits, it's clear that he's, that shit was said. It's jumping around pretty crazy. And then she talked about a part where he kind of knew that he was making her feel uncomfortable. So he was like, "Hey, how about we just do like an on-air hug to clear the air." And as he's going...
That was him saying that?
Yeah. So as he goes to hug her on camera, you see him, like, grinding his hips on her. And I was just like, damn it. I was like, wow, this is terrible. And, of course, there was a whole bunch of other stuff that was edited out.
Like, it'd be different if they were on the same level.
Right.
If they were friends beforehand.
Right. And
it's just like, oh, this is like... It's been... Maybe, like, through the friendship, it's established that was, like, a joke between them. And that's what they do when they get mad at each other.
Right.
But he's the boss.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird, man.
So from this, she kind of exposed everything that happened, and it kind of raised a question for me when it comes to things like this. So it's clear that he has because he knew Mandy and Bridget before the show, he might have a joking relationship like that with them, right? And also on his podcast, they talk about a lot of different type of things. They talk about sex and everything like that. When it comes to being a business owner, or let's just give the scenario, if we had an all ladies podcast on here, And you know how we joke, you know how the shit that we just had a whole gay joke on this podcast, right? When it comes to that situation, can you act the same expecting now people to kind of just fall in line with how your personality is, or do you have to adjust to people?
No, you adjust because it's in a work setting you have to adjust. Different if it's like a social setting, your friends, like it's mostly our friend circle, and then like another person joining in, like they're the ones that kind of have to adjust and keep along with how we joke with each other, how we interact with each other.
Because you're the outsiders.
Yeah, and it's just like you learn how they tell jokes. You don't just jump in with your own shit and just make shit like uncomfortable, awkward and shit like that. But no, in a work setting, no, you adjust to your new people, and like you slowly be like, this is how we act, and you with the inappropriate stuff, it's a little dicey, right? Because it's like until she makes like an inappropriate joke, until she's the one being like, "Oh, it's crazy that I'm on your network because I've been wanting to fuck you for a long time." If she said that the joke, then wild and fucking shit like that. But then that's like a green light for him to joke like that back. Right. But it joke, never to like actually do anything unless you know things are talked about and consent is had. But that's what I would do if it was just like if we were running like an all women podcast or something like that.
So my next question would go for if it was flipped and we have like ladies producing us and everything, and if they have that type of relationship or whatever, or they have that type of personality, I should say, and they know they use that type of humor with us, can we feel uncomfortable?
If you really do feel uncomfortable, then yeah. Okay. Yeah. With me, I can't imagine that it'd make me feel uncomfortable depending on what they're doing. Right. And shit like that. And if like touching me like, oh no, I have a wife.
Oh I'm my God. Oh, not on camera. Turn the fucking camera.
Turn the mic off, turn the camera.
Mark, get out. What the fuck do you But the look the mic still on? Just turn off the fucking mic. You just gotta turn it off and we can do the shit. You know, we can do the dirty shit. I don't know why. It's like, niggas is serious when they do the fucking bite the lip. Yeah, fuck the shit with your motherfucking ass. Don't play with me. Don't you motherfucking play with me on this motherfucker.
So much testosterone can't open your mouth.
It's way too much. Dick hard as a rock.
Not enough blood to clench your jaw.
If I let go of my lip, it's just I'm gonna come. That's why I gotta do that.
Oh man. Oh my God. But I think it's that it's just as much as because it's that whole gender thing, especially in a workplace. Right. It's if they're uncomfortable, then they're uncomfortable. We might get laughed at, right? Because we're complaining about our lady bosses are fucking doing this to us and it's sexual harassment. Because to this day, if a dude gets raped by,
it's a double standard thing.
Right? Yeah, but you know things need to change, and we need to stand up for our gender. It's about men, all right? Men have been forgotten.
We need to stop this.
Incels rise up. Yeah, no, it's that, and you gotta accept. We would have to accept that it would be looked at as that, and we'd have to fight a little more. Right. We wouldn't be taking it serious. Whatever shit like that. Fine. Whatever makes sense for all the fucking decades of how women had to deal with shit. Right. Shit like that. So yeah, it'd be the same. What about you?
It would be the same. However, the thing that, like, with this situation that made me be like, this sucks because, not saying that, you know, he didn't have intentions or whatever, because I have no idea, right? But the thing, like, watching him via, like, all these years and shit, it's like, his personality on his podcast is like that. Yeah. So it's like, when you're bringing it the reason why it's such an interesting dynamic, it's like, it's kind of what you just said. He's friends with the other two girls. So they can joke and shit like that, right? And it's cool. But then you add this one outsider who's now on the network and everything. So he's coming with the same energy to her, but she's like, I'm not cool with this and everything like that. But it's crazy how I don't think he ever picked up on the shit. He was just
probably not. It's he's all probably jokes. in that world of he's probably surrounded by a lot more yes men than he's used to. For a while now, because he is the owner of this network now. Right. So he's probably like doesn't pick up on the subtlety of like, oh, this person's uncomfortable. It's like, no, I'm charming, and everyone finds this kind of shit that I do funny, and blah blah blah. And hopefully, this is like a wake up call, a reality check for him.
Yeah, hopefully,
but I don't know. He's kind of kind of been on one lately.
Yeah.
It's getting a little harder to defend him. Because he is the reason podcasts are where they are now.
Right.
Because he was the first one with like a major deal with a major platform to podcast getting taken seriously, like real seriously.
Right.
And then he did the whole thing with his old co-host.
Yeah.
And then now this, it's just like, dude, you're like, like podcasts don't need you anymore, really.
Right.
Because like the deals are in place. It's happening now. It's a proven fact.
Yeah, they've progressed past the point of like
risk.
Yeah, and your voice doesn't mean as much. It means a lot in our culture, which is why it's like you're fucking it up, but it doesn't mean a lot to the world anymore because everyone now
and the businesses that like take the risk on podcasts.
Exactly.
You know?
Because after that, he had a sponsorship with Cash App. They took that shit immediately, so he's no longer sponsored by Cash App. He lost a lot of deals after that, and I was like, one, justified, because dog, what she was saying and what I actually saw from that episode and everything, that shit was wild.
Yeah, it's coming from like a legit fan from
right.
his old album days.
Yeah, so I'm like, I actually fuck with Joe Budden, so it's like me watching, I was just like, oh yeah, this isn't defendable. Like, if I'm gonna be consistent with other people I've talked about doing this shit, same thing gotta go to you, bro. Like, this is crazy. But on the same regard, I'm just like, fuck, you are fucking up all of this because, and that's the scary thing. When it comes to like our personalities and jokes and shit, we've never been in a situation like that. But there's situations where, Jay, we've been friends with Jay for forever and everything, and I still can like go at Jay with like gay jokes, and it's cool, right? Because Jay will come back and we will joke around. It'll be funny, right? But it's like we have the conversation
around his friend. Like if you were around his friend, you couldn't do it as much.
I was going to say we had the conversation even before he was with anyone. We talked about like, hey, is this cool or would you just not like this to happen and everything like that. And he always said it was cool with him, but of course, obviously we choose not to. It's like if he's around a bunch of his friends. Friends. Yeah. If he's around a bunch of his friends that are like that, and we just start coming out with like just our jokes on shit like that, right, that can be taken crazy.
And it's funny because like even he could be laughing with us and while we're saying it, but the other people are like they could be offended, and that's on them. They don't know us. They don't know it's like a joking thing. They probably not even know Jay is gay.
Right.
It's like why would a gay person be laughing at this kind of shit?
Right. But that's happened before. When it, like, I remember distinctly, we were at Jay's house one time, and I think this is like right around the fucking Nintendo Wii came out and everything, and I want to say Jay had one, and they were playing Wii. It was like his cousins came over, and they were all playing, and we were being us, right? Yeah. We were joking in the background about all the shit that was going on, right? And I remember after that, like the thing, like it was like either the next day or a couple of days later, Jay was like, "Oh yeah, man, my cousins hate y'all." and I was like, "What?" Like, I don't remember if you were there for that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, so
was I there for the first?
Yeah, you were there for the jokes, right? And then as long as I got my jokes, yeah. And then I was like, "What?" And then he was like, "Yeah, man." Yeah, and then because I remember specifically, he said his one cousin didn't like me because of what I was saying. I was like, but we were joking, like we were all joking, and then
it was mostly your jokes, but like a real big part was your skin color, which I ignored, but the joke part. But the joke, because he's funny. Yeah. I get that he's black, but he's funny,
so he can get it over. But it's just you being black and doing it was the issue. But it was just like it was like yeah, she was really like. Thought like she had like an issue like with her or something. And I was just like, no, we were all saying
her.
Yeah, we were all saying the same jokes. Like I don't.
Were we just saying Asian jokes to Johnny?
Or? Like no, but we were saying like about like we were being us back in those days. Because I think this is pre us graduating, so we were wilding. But I was just like, yo, everyone in your family knows how we are. Yeah. But of course, that was like a light bulb for me. It's like we don't know these people like that.
She doesn't know that they accepted us for how we are.
Exactly. Yeah. So. And then because, again, with like our circle of people at that time, it's like we could joke with Jay's brother or your brother or whoever, and they're gonna go right back at us.
Yeah,
it won't be like, oh fuck you, man. Like so, and it was like cool. But then I was just like, damn, this isn't the same like how you just think, you know, because as a kid you're like, oh, you're JayZ family, so you're cool with this type of shit, and it's like, no, I'm not actually, and that's why I'm just like, man, it's a funny situation of how, one, it's inappropriate, but two, it's like jokes aren't jokes. I mean, jokes are jokes until someone gets serious.
Right, yeah.
And then that's a clear situation. Yeah. Like, he lost millions of dollars because she got serious in a heartbeat.
It would only be confusing and debatable if that they were friends beforehand, right, and she knew this about him, how they joke, and they joke around each other like this, but because it was on the show, right, all of a sudden it's different. That's when it's just like, come on, man. That's weird. Especially for it being a podcast kind of thing where it is just conversation.
Yeah, and you have to show your personality.
Right, like how you normally act, just like dialed up a little bit.
Right. This is how, you know, this is how I am. So why is it like a big thing now? But
it's recorded. So that's the thing too. I think if we ran a full women's podcast, and let's say like we did do an inappropriate joke because me and you were like just in like conversation while they were around, right, and we did that. It's a very simple fix because you do that, and then you kind of realize, like, we realized what we said. And then you like turn to them and like, oh shit, sorry, like
my bad.
Yeah, like my bad, I forgot, like you were there. It was just kind of like we were caught up in the moment. So sorry.
Right.
And if you're genuine about your apology and shit like that, and we would be,
like, hopefully they accept it.
Yeah, they get it. Just like, oh shit, sorry, like we just kind of got caught up in the moment from. And if they're on a network, they know like we've been knowing each other for years and shit like that. So hopefully they understand, like, oh, like it wasn't towards you at all, or like whatever. Shit like that. And
so my last question about this particular like situation, when it comes to, now let's say that she was cool with the his jokes and shit, but listeners and people who watched the episode, they weren't cool. At that point, is it a conversation, or is it still like they just got to get over it?
I would say they have to get over it because it's her. This is her. You can't get offended on behalf of somebody,
right?
You know, especially if they don't want it. Because then you're just putting your own views and you're using them to shield it from the fact that it's you. Mm-hmm. Just say, as long as they own up to it and be like, no, I had a problem with it, and them to have no support from the person they're defending or they think they're defending, then it's not an issue.
I would say the same thing, and the only reason I brought it up is because when Brilliant Idiots, another podcast, has Charlemagne the God and Andrew Schultz. For like the longest time, people thought Andrew Schultz was like some alt-right racist guy because he's a comedian, but he would like make so many crazy black jokes to Charlemagne. But Charlemagne is his friend. So, of course, you're on a podcast. I'm a comedian. I'm going to joke how I joke, right? And especially how we joke off camera, off mics and shit. So he was doing that. I remember it was like a good period of time. He would get so much backlash for it. And I was just like, it was weird because at a point, I think they were kind of like, okay, either tone it down or we have to explain that you do this. Because people are thinking...
Why can't people just, like, don't they put two and two together that they're friends? Like, why would they be on the show together if they're not friends? Especially a podcast. Podcast, people, it's a fucking choice to do it.
That was my thing about it. I was like, but how is this so confusing to people? Like, no, they're cool with this. And I remember, I forgot the dude's name, but he's an actor. But they were doing it was for it was some Tupac and Biggie show, and Andrew Schultz had made a joke about Tupac, and the guy that he was talking to, he was also like in I think I Am Mad At You. He was in that video. And he had made a joke about Tupac, and the dude like looked at him, and it got like real serious. Like it was like drop a pin quiet.
Right.
And then Schultz goes, "I'm a comedian." And Charlemagne's like, "Yeah, he's a comedian." And then the guy went, "Oh, okay." And like he started laughing and everything. And then Schultz was like, "Guy, it's been how long? I'm a comedian." But the dude was like, his face was like, "What the fuck you just say?" Like, and he was like, and then as soon as he said, like, Charlemagne was like, "He's a comedian." He was just like, "Oh, okay, you joking. All right." I was just like, yo, like, how you have to know this.
Right.
Like, how do you not know this? And you're going on these shows and shit like that. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that shit. Because even seeing that shit is just weird to me.
Man, you know what that reminds me of? When people like make a joke and it's bad and really uncomfortable, and they go like, "Oh, can't take a joke."
Right.
It's like almost on the same par, but saying that they're a comedian now, making it a profession, like it's their profession.
Right.
It makes it okay. Because he had a problem with it. What he said,
he did.
You know,
he did have a problem with it.
Do you think it was like he was caught up in the moment, and then when the person said, like, kind of snapped him back to reality of like, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Let's make it funny now because like, oh, he's a comedian, haha.
Right. I think that's what happened, but I'm kind of with you on that. It's like, why? Because he's a comedian, does that justify the joke? Right,
because then we could say that. Can we even claim that? Like we tell jokes on here,
right? But see, the thing is, their podcast title. But the thing is, one, we're not comedians, but two, I think that shit is super loosely based because a lot of people use that when it comes to their defenses of shit. Yeah, because like a couple years ago, I remember Daniel Tosh got in trouble for making a rape joke. And this is like at like the beginning of like starting cancel culture and shit. But he got in trouble for that. And my whole thought process behind that was like, you're going to his show. You have to know his humor. It's like, why?
It's insanely ridiculous what he does on his show.
Right. So I'm like, why would you expect him to like cater shit to you? Yeah. And then like, right. But then as I kind of thought about it from a different perspective, it's like, was it a bad joke? Because if it's a bad rape joke, then does this person have a point?
Right, it's not even clever or something.
Right, because I think her whole point was like it was a bad joke. It was about rape, which made it offensive, and XYZ. His whole thing was like, to my show, you interrupted me, so I said this joke and XYZ, whatever. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's a slippery slope because I feel like that should only be used for comedians, though. Literally, like comedians,
stand-up comedians.
Yeah, that's their profession and whatever.
Nowadays, like people that do what we do, like podcasting, and it's like a joking thing. Now they could claim comedian, right? Because to me, it's always been stand-ups are the only ones that can be called comedians,
right? Because I've seen that shit with a couple of things like YouTube vlogs and Twitches and shit where it's like it's based in humor and they'll say something like fucked up or whatever and then they'll kind of get away with it because it's like it's just a joke, guys.
I think to really get you like people that are listening, Jake Paul and Logan Paul, right? They could technically claim comedians because of what they do. Even though they've never done stand-up, they're not that funny. But they could claim, like, oh, because we do comedy and we do, like, skits and bullshit and we just talk really loud and scream at the camera kind of thing with fast editing. Right. It's comedy. Right? So they're comedians. So they could claim that shit and get away with all this bullshit that they always do.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, technically you can. Like, and that, do I think is it bad? Yes, but also I think there should be room because a lot of today's comedians don't go the traditional route of just pure stand-up. They start with YouTube or whatever, and then they kind of work out material, and then they get the courage to go up there and actually do stand-up, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, it does suck because there's a lot of shit I've heard from like YouTubers or Twitchers where I'm just like, that's fucking racist as fuck.
It's just an updated version of you can't take a joke, right? Yeah, and that's all it is.
Yeah, but the big thing with that is for anyone out there who's listening or thinking about like if you work with women or vice versa, if you work with men and you guys do these type of jokes and everything, one, I hope you guys have established a comfort level with each other and some kind of rapport to do this shit.
And even though it's uncomfortable, talk about those like little different moments of humor and shit depending on you guys' relationship.
Right. But also I would say I think the easiest way to like kind of go about those situations is don't say anything that could get you in trouble if someone heard it. Yeah. Like, unless, of course, y'all really are like tight like that. Yeah. But don't say anything that would get you in trouble because I've seen some shit at my job.
And then also, like, even if they say, like, nah, it's cool, and they're kind of doing it to appease you, it's just like, fucking realize that they're like trying to meet you halfway and don't go fucking just crazy right off bat.
Okay, so let's say you say something inappropriate and you're like, oh shit, my bad. And they're like, nah, it's cool and everything is fine. It was a joke. If they later on tell like HR or like tell a manager like 2 weeks later or whatever, at that point, do you feel some type of way?
Yeah. It's because like, you could have told me right then and there. I get the whole like you're supposed to get HR first and blah 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 and it's crap, but just like, especially if when it happened, I said like, oh sorry, like I didn't mean to, and you said it was cool, and then you still go to HR. It's like, you should have just said it when I said sorry.
Right.
And crap like that, and then it could have been handled. Especially if I'm coming at you calmly and saying sorry.
Right.
Realizing that I fucked up.
So if the defense of them being like, it should have never been said, like, that would still, you still would be like, but I apologized in that moment.
Yeah, and she said it was fine.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. That's I mean, what about you?
I mean, I would do the same thing, but also I don't know if I would be able to, like, if they would go to HR, I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. Like, yeah. I don't know if I have like an out for it. You know what I mean? Right. Just because it's like I shouldn't have said it. Mm-hmm. You know, like that at least would be my position on it. But I would do the same thing. I would say like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry, and everything like that. And if we have an understanding, then I'm gonna hold you to that. But if you go back afterwards, I'm probably gonna be angry to myself, but I can't then be angry to you about.
No, it's not being angry to them, but then you have to be like, okay, we're not cool,
right? Because
of that situation beforehand.
Right.
This is why we're not cool, and then be like, all right, we're just coworkers now. Like, do not try to be cool with me. Don't try to be more than coworkers with me now that you've gone to HR and shit like that.
Right.
That's what it would have to be.
All right, I think. Yeah, best case scenario for all these situations is don't say shit that you're going to regret or that you know probably might be taken a certain type of way that you don't want to be taken.
And also, if you're an all-woman podcast and you want to be on our network, we are great bosses.
We are touching everything, anything. That is half your salary. Us touching you. No.
That's what the podcast is called. Us touching you. How you try to talk.
Yeah, that's the whole episode. It's just
us pointing. Just our arms coming into frame.
Touching her hair.
Look, it's like a wig.
It's so nappy.
Oh, man. No, but seriously, if there's an all-woman podcast out there and you want to be on our network and all that crap, cool, hit us up and we'll do it.
Yeah, fucking please show the women perspective on this network because we don't have it yet.
Yeah,
but
we've been looking. But
yeah, we don't. We're
not good at making friends. We're not good at making friends at all.
No, that should be an episode one day.
Recluse.
That should be an episode one day.
Right?
Because I don't think we're that. I don't think we're dicks.
We're just bad at making friends.
No, I don't think we're bad at making friends. I honestly think that people. It's like the people we have around us are cool with us, but people don't want to get like that with us because we have a tendency to tell the truth with a lot of shit.
Yeah, we don't sugarcoat stuff too much,
and it's
hard for us to sugarcoat.
Yeah, stuff. But we do it from a perspective of like, this is what you want.
Yeah. Like, I thought this was what. Right. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean I have to pretend to be nice?
Right.
What people do in this situation. What do you mean you wanted me to tell you you're not fat, even though you asked me straight out I'm not fat? What?
But you said that, huh? Like, and I don't know about you, but personally, I've been burned with that a couple times where I'm just like, oh, we're not cool like that.
Yeah,
I thought
you wanted just to lie.
Yeah.
Okay.
My bad.
Yeah. Happened there. But nah, yeah, if we had an all-woman podcast, it'd be that conversation and be like, how cool are you with these things? And even so, like, if that happened, I feel like the only thing we'd get caught up with is like doing a gay joke around them to each other. Like, we would do like sexual jokes to each other, not to her, but she'd be around to hear it.
Right.
And then it's just like, oh shit, fuck.
But see, it's always hard to get to that point with women because it's so like, you never want shit taken like a certain type of way. And especially with us and like how we grew up and shit, we say a lot of shit that is like, people would think we're serious. But we're rarely serious with the shit that we say, right? And
it is our own fault because the whole serious thing, we say it really serious. Yeah. So that then we look at the other person like, this was serious. Like, I really mean this. Just to make them like, you just fucking laugh, break and laugh kind of thing.
But then we don't. That's another thing. We never, because I feel like we're both guilty of, we always thought people were in on the joke.
Yeah, because when other people are around, we like let's say I'll say it's serious, you start laughing, but because I said it's so serious, the other person that doesn't know it so well, is like, what? Like, he really wants that? What? Right. Oh my god.
And again, going back to Jay talked about how people would always ask like, how are y'all friends? Y'all say like the meanest shit to each other, and we're like, we're not serious. We're none of this shit. Like,
it's an act.
All of it.
Yeah. That piece of shit.
But yeah, man, like that's what I'm saying. It's hard to do that, at least for me with women, because I have a tendency to be like, I don't want to get in trouble. So
yeah, I normally don't either. I normally like stay quieter than I usually am, but one thing I have a hard time doing is like if something is said and it could be taken like a dirty way,
right?
I'll like chuckle. I'll be like, like you just like that quick chuckle, but they could hear it,
right?
And then
they're like, oh, you nasty, you nasty boy. Mark's such a bad. You better check out that fucking shit.
He's like, oh my god, you were biting your lips so hard, miss.
Greatest shit ever to me. Oh man, this shit's gonna be called aggressive lip biting. Yeah. Got the title. Don't even gotta think about that shit.
What does that mean? What do they mean?
That's a t-shirt.
But yeah, I think that's the only thing I do. And then, like after a while, when they're like, if we keep seeing each other like just in the same circle kind of thing,
right? It's
kind of they know like dirty jokes. They start thinking that way every time they hear kind of shit like that, but. Yeah, I never take it too far. I try not to.
See, that's the thing, because I feel like they always think we're serious because we are serious people. But then it's like, no, I'm bullshit.
Yeah, because we're quiet.
Yeah, it's like, why would I say that out loud to you?
It's a ridiculous thing to say.
That is stupid.
You're hanging out with weird people if you think that's serious.
If you thought that was really going to happen. But again, I can't blame them because it's the world. So
yeah, and it really is up to like us, the person that's doing the joke,
right,
to realize what other people are going through, and like they don't know you too well, so
right,
you have to deal with that shit.
But
you know what, Joe Budden is getting what he deserves, honestly. But
yeah,
it sucks to say because I always try to defend him, but
yeah, hopefully it works out. He learns from it, turns everything around. But
yeah, good thing it didn't go too far. Like it's not a real like it was uncomfortable said, but that's like a low tier compared to like. Fucking rape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was going to say someone's name, but they got acquitted of that, so I can't say your name. But. Chris Hardwick.
That was like the first person I was like, fuck him, he did it.
I didn't care for no evidence.
I need no facts, he fucking did it.
This little fucking pussy did it. I know he did it.
Little bitch.
Little weirdo. That nigga got acquitted, and I was like,
whatever. I don't remember.
I don't remember saying nothing.
Yeah.
I don't remember saying nothing.
Yeah.
I'm a fuck out say split. Alright, fuck all that.
Alright, but you can find us at youtube.com/howdoiknowyou. You could find us on all DSPs, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Please a review, follow us, all that crap. If you want a central location with all of our stuff, HDIKY.com. You'll find us. You'll find Who's On First. You'll find Put 'Em With The. You'll find our new all-women's podcast when it arrives. Make it happen.
Called Me Too.
Speak. This is us getting sent to jail on the cover.
They go through every episode. Come here. Damn, come on, that was light.
I'm your boss, man. This is bullshit. You can find our socials at HDIKY1, both Instagram and Twitter. You can find my personal ones at MrLucky005.
You can follow me on Twitter at DCJunior13, on Instagram at DCJunior113. But like we always say, if I don't know and you don't know,
who really knows?
How do I know you? Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.